Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax. Except you, that person driving. Sit up and keep your eyes on the road. Your ears, though, can still listen as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
I'm Rob. Let's get the show on the road.
It's you! And of course, today we are joined by the entire cast of Rocky the Musical today. So, yes Rocky the Musical. We were talking about this as a group before we got on here, saying, it'll be a great musical, Rocky. Well, let me say, I said, and everybody else thought I was crazy, but, that's typical for most conversations, so.
Oh, I'm all in. Let's do it.
Oh, it would be spectacular. Could you imagine Sylvester Stallone singing, considering how that man talks, just like, wow. Like, he's definitely not going to be a soprano, just saying.
Mr. T singing. That's what I want to hear.
Oh, yeah. We talked about Pity the Fool of the Song. That'd be an amazing song.
In the days.
So we got some really special guests here on for you guys today. So first we have Marshall Green, host of the New York Giants Now. Also, for you basketball fans, you might recognize him as the host of New York Knicks Now for Chat Sports. So he does also talk to the New York Knickerbockers there, which has been how long do you guys want to ring again? Just
too long.
We don't.
Oh.
Too long. we don't measure in terms of years. We just
almost long.
Yeah. It's all right. I'm a Net fan, so we don't talk about it either. So it's like Bruno. We don't talk about it. So we also have here the football grump and the Cranky fan from the Just the Giants podcast, also of Twitter fame, because if you guys don't follow these guys, pretty much anytime you see any article with quotes from Giant fans, anything big that happens, these two are right in it. And if they're not, the article is not worth reading. Point blank. Point blank. So thank you again, guys, for coming on. We really do appreciate it.
Thanks for having us. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so we got a big one here today, because guys, we're going to talk about the linebackers and talk about a group of position here that was so important to Giant history for so many years. How many great linebackers have we had? But for the last 20 years, it seems like ever since we lost Antonio Pierce, basically. We got a guy for like 1 year here, and then like a John Beeson, or like the 1 year we had there, Blake Martinez, before he was selling Pikachus online. It's like, well, I should say before the MetLife Stadium ruined his career, but it's ACL tears.
I'm going to say the Raiders ruined his career.
Well, listen, the Raiders ruin a lot of careers. Let's give them a lot of credit for that one. Like, career ruiners of the
graveyard
year goes to them.
The Raiders got a graveyard in LA and Vegas and Oakland.
Yes.
Just Josh McDaniels.
And of course, guys, we also have, again, our live shot still set up of Daniel Jones. He's still counting his money from this deal. He's still going. Daniel Jones, there he is. Just keeps on going.
I thought that was our appearance fee. Okay.
That check's in the mail. Don't you worry. The check might bounce, but it'll be in the mail. Don't you worry. So, so, guys, we do have something for you today, though. Before we get started, as we always do, we give you guys news from around the league. We give you guys any breaking news. So before we get news around the league, we got that musical tune. Our brains back to the 5 o'clock news of the 1995. Like, oof. That is like, for those who were like, grew up in the New York area, I'm waiting for like Roz Abrams to come out of nowhere and start telling us about traffic reports and all. Like, that's where it's at right there. So we're talking about linebackers. We're talking about linebackers today, and today we actually went ahead and re-signed a linebacker. Jared Davis is back on the squad, which is somewhat exciting, because as scary as it sounds for a guy we got so late in the year, he started for us the last game of the year. He started for us in the playoffs. He was the best linebacker we had last year. That's kind of scary. So hopefully he's there as a backup next year, but at least we got him. We got him again. So on to the news from around the league. Oh yes, the NFL blowing up right there. So We got first off, the Jets and Aaron Rodgers are still in talks, it seems like. So it looks like Aaron Rodgers may be becoming a New York Jet, continuing the tradition of washed up Green Bay Packers going to play for the Jets. It's a weird tradition to have, but yeah, it's a really weird.
When's Don Mikowski signing a contract?
Does that mean that there's a lawsuit incoming from a physical therapist?
That's possible. I did hear they have Bart Starr on a speed dial, even though he's already probably deceased at this point. I don't even know if he's still around, but sheesh, it's like that's a weird thing to be known for, taking up washed up Green Bay Packer quarterbacks. But at the same point, they had some damn good quarterbacks. So I guess there's worse places to take from. You could be taking, the washed up quarterbacks from the Carolina Panthers or something. I don't know. So we also had the news, of course, of Joe Mixon, which, a little more sad than the prior one there. Yeah. So apparently he's allegedly shot an 11-year-old child who was part of a group of kids playing with Nerf guns outside of his house. So, yeah, I don't want to get too much into that because I don't have many details on it yet, but there's not really any way that the story comes out good that he shot an 11-year-old kid with a Nerf gun. I'm just going to say that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, next.
Yeah.
We neglected to mention on the last episode the news that had just come out before the show started that Derrick Henry is being shopped around by the Tennessee Titans. Another perfect example of why you do not sign a running back to a long-term deal. It doesn't tend to work out very well. Also, the Rams are looking to trade Allen Robinson, so another wide receiver possibly available for a team that might need one. Anybody know of a team that might need a wide receiver? Trying to think. Might be... maybe one we talk about quite often. I'm just saying, for a very weak free agent class, which let's all admit probably that it's a weak free agent class.
It's not good.
When OBJ and Jacoby Myers are your best options, along with Juju Smith-Schuster, that's not good. So it might be an option that they may look at. It's not an option I would like them to look at, but an option they may look at there. So we also have here, Chiefs also were likely to go ahead and let McCole Hardman walk, they're saying, as they plan to re-sign Juju Smith-Schuster. So maybe that's an option for us also. Again, we need a wide receiver. We need several wide receivers, it feels like. We need like 7. Like if we can get like 10 wide receivers, I'll be happy then. That way when the next couple ones hurt themselves, we'll be good to go. We'll have some backups ready to go. It's okay, Marshall. It's okay. You know it's going to happen. It happens every year.
Every time. Every time.
Yeah.
So we also have
nobody number 4 is not your number 1.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the guy that didn't even want to put in the field in training camp becomes your number 1 receiver for the year. That's not a good sign. Just saying, that's not a good sign.
Yeah.
So Jimmy G also was apparently on the Texans' radar to be their next quarterback there, or / mentor for whoever they happen to draft, because I think it's pretty obvious they're going to draft one at number 2. Matt Patricia also may apparently stay with the Patriots staff, but he's also still rumored to possibly be going over to the Philadelphia Eagles staff there as well. So something to watch there, because as much as he was a very bad offensive mind, he's a good defensive mind. So not somebody I really want over in Philly. I'd rather them to stick with bad people. So
I put Matt Patricia in the bad people category. So I think
I would listen.
Are we
Bad head
sure
coach.
he's a good defensive mind? I mean, running Bill Belichick's defense, I don't know how much credit to give him and how much not to give him, and then immediately becomes a head coach.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
listen, I would love for him to be their head coach.
Yeah.
Sign him up all day long. Like, be the head coach.
As long as he brings
Bill Belichick's been with New England for what, 20 years? How long?
More than that, like 25 years almost.
Yeah.
I think it's like, he started, 98, 99?
That's going to prove my point. How many bad defenses have they had since then?
Not a lot. That's
so,
for sure.
How long has Matt Patricia been in the league as a defensive coordinator for the Patriots?
Now you're going to make me look things up that I don't have the answer to. Your question, man. You have the answer for us.
Well, I mean, I'll say this: if Philadelphia, if Philly brings him in, I still think that might be an upgrade over Jonathan Gannon. I don't think Jonathan Gannon was Patricia.
What was that, Rob? We lose you, Rob. We lost you, Rob. You're there. You're doing your mime routine. He's stuck in a box. Guys. But yeah, sorry, Grump. You were saying? Oh, there we go. Okay.
No, I didn't say anything.
Okay. So, sorry, Grump, you were saying?
I was just saying, even if Philly gets Matt Patricia, that might still be an upgrade over Jonathan Gannon, who left. I don't know. It felt like he kind of got a lot of credit for a defense that I didn't think. I mean, it just looked like it was a lot of skill and not a whole lot of schematics to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I wouldn't really welcome him in Philly. I'd just let them do their thing.
Ooh, we have big news now. Apparently, according to Connor Wallace here on YouTube, Stallone was actually in Rhinestone with Dolly Parton, and he sang. Oh, yes. Everybody break out the Netflix tonight for that one. Sylvester Stallone singing the blues in Rhinestone. Oh, yes.
Was that a duet with Dolly Parton?
I don't know. It can only help. You know what? Dolly Parton may be the one person that looks short next to him, too, so that might work out pretty well for him. That man's only like 5'5", even though he's like,
I think he's
75. Whatever he is. He's still like 77 years old and still jacked and probably whoop my butt, so I shouldn't talk too much.
I mean, he still got that foot on him.
Yeah, well, I got the foot on him, but yeah, he's still got, a lot of muscle on me. So, yeah, this probably still advantage him. He takes those steroids and all. I don't take those.
He doesn't take steroids. He takes HGH.
Oh, whatever it is, he got caught with at the airport. Yeah, HGH, steroids, whatever. Listen, you can't play in the NFL with this stuff, so therefore.
Do you remember when he was filming The Expendables 1?
Yeah.
Do you remember when he was filming The Expendables 1?
Yeah, I remember when he was filming The Expendables.
And he got caught with 70 vials of HGH.
Yeah. Australia, I think that was
like
actually.
65. 5 years worth of HGH.
70. God.
Yeah.
Australia.
Listen, like look at that man. Vials. You try to tell me he's not taking something. He's legitimately in his 70s. Now, don't get me wrong. He doesn't look like he's
like
20,
73, 74
but he looks
now?
like he's late 50s. He's a lot stronger than he deserves to be in his 70s. Just saying.
I mean, he was supposed to Expendables 2 or 3 where he technically really broke a neck vertebrae and then continued filming.
I see you are quite the Expendables fan, Rob. I was unaware of this because you were like, well, in the third scene, 5 minutes into it, Sylvester Stallone does a backflip and then all of a sudden cracks his neck.
I think it was a 520 switched and turned.
Yeah. I saw this in the director's cut. So we also got some Giants news here. So, of course, Joe Shane had his press conference on Zoom today. So he did mention a few things that I thought were kind of interesting. The first one, that the Giants have already started negotiations with Sexy Dexy himself there about an extension. I'm a little curious about that one there because I like having him on the 5th-year deal. Keep it nice and low because we need some money to get some pieces here. But he did mention about lowering the number this year if he did an extension. So I don't know how you do that because to the best of my knowledge, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he's only making, $10.5 million on the 5th-year option?
But it's fully guaranteed and fully against the cap.
Yeah,
that's the way the 5th-year option works. So I think there's ways to get him $10 million where all 10 doesn't count against the cap. I think is probably would be the workout for him. Would make no difference and then would add extended years, but for the team would lower his number. Is probably how that would be working.
Yeah, they've been pretty fancy with their numbers as far as the signing bonuses in Shane's era. So I think that's probably where it does come into be. But yeah, it's interesting because I'm still a little scared about re-signing a guy to a huge contract off of one good year. I would still like to see him do it again next year and go to the contract extension talk, mid-season at that point.
Well, then it becomes about replacement costs. Like, having a defensive lineman like that, if you're going to just let him walk, that's another need you're going to have to replace, using a very high draft pick to get where you can just, he's in this system. He's playing well in it. I think you make a deal, you lower the cap number this year and you worry about the cap in the future when the cap's going up.
Well, my concern more is I don't want to have Leonard Williams syndrome where he has his best career year and then all of a sudden we sign him and then we just don't see that again. For all we know, this was his best year.
He came from a Pro Bowl year, and next year he may play great, but he might not be the same caliber, which then you could re-sign him at a cheaper cost.
But he's also 25. How old was Leonard Williams? Yeah, he's 28, 29. I mean, he's 20. He's just getting into his prime now.
I would also argue that you've already had two good years of Dex and one fantastic year of Dexter Lawrence.
Oh, listen,
I
think
think there's far more than
Don't get me wrong on that.
Of production there. It's just 1 year of statistical production. The rest, I mean, like if you look at pressures and stuff like that, like he's been a monster for a number of years. This year, statistically, he broke out. I think some assistance comes from Wink's defense as well. So, I mean, you're playing a little bit more of a conservative defense with what they were running with Patrick Graham beforehand. He wasn't really going to rack up a whole lot of sacks and stuff like that.
Yeah. They're almost certainly going to rework a Leonard Williams deal to make it work, and to, if they sign him, that will lower the burden for this year also. So I think these are all these moves are all related, and they're all just meant for maximum flexibility. So I'm good with all these so far.
Yeah, no, so far I like everything they've done. They're still talking to Barkley as well, they're hearing too. So they are still looking at an extension with Barkley.
I just wonder how you get that number any lower for Barkley. I mean, 10 million franchise tag, isn't that like the lowest he's made in a while? I guess he was making it's the lowest he's made.
I'm pretty sure. What was that, Marshall?
In 2022, it was like $9 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right, because the fifth-year option was actually a decrease in payment for him from where he was at. 'Cause I think he was getting paid like $12 million a year on his rookie contract, pretty much.
It was still top 10 money for running.
Yeah, it was immediately from entering the league. So I don't know how that number gets lower. I mean, they might add it might count lower against the cap somehow, but
honestly, if we have no concern, if we don't have any concerns about needing to tag somebody else next year, honestly, I'm cool leaving him with the tag him again the second time, and take it from there. Again, it's a running back. You don't want to give a long-term deal to a running back who is now in his late 20s already, basically, and had injury issues.
Yeah, he's 26. So
so I say he's wearing his golden jersey number.
Yeah, so this you're talking at that point. If you sign him to 2 years back-to-back tags, he's now 28. That's pretty much the end of the road for most of these running backs. So more.
What do we think we're talking about here? It sounds to me like I don't think they're going to offer him more than something that's like a 3-year deal with an out after 2 years.
If they did that and it's less than $36 million, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I mean, do you think it's going to be more than that? Does anybody here? I'm not really sure. I don't know.
Say Marshall gave a look when I said that. Marshall gave a look when I said that.
I don't think Saquon's agreeing to anything less than 36.
Oh, I agree with you on that. But if he knows he's going to get tagged twice and he knows this might be his last chance for a decent deal.
I don't know.
Is anyone around the league going to give up two firsts?
You're going to rack up like $23 million guaranteed in 2 seasons. Then, look, if you're betting on yourself again, that third year you become a free agent.
Listen,
there's a
he wants
money.
Obviously.
Listen, if he wants to, the only option he has to get a bigger deal, I think, personally, is to sit out and refuse to play. And we all know how that worked for Le'Veon Bell.
And then he's going to lose $10 million.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's just like, how are you going to recoup that in a deal? He's not going to. So
that's the thing. This is the opposite of the Daniel Jones. We have all the power in this situation because we have that tag on him and because no one's going to give us 2 first-round picks. So I think he's going to sign a deal he doesn't want just because he knows he needs to sign something. Personally, I could be wrong. I don't know the guy personally, obviously.
I think it turns around, like, the applying him a 2-year deal, probably like 20.
Did you say turn around?
No. Turn around. Every now and then. Saquon Barkley gets a good contract deal.
Every now and then his legs fall apart.
3 of the 5 seasons. Anyway.
Oh, yes. The musical numbers keep going, guys.
So what they might do to kind of like not to be a slap in the face, though, they might turn around and be like, hey, take this $25 million contract for 2 years. We're going to pay you $9 million up front for the first year, and then we'll pay you out the rest. Or probably, maybe a little less than that and with some incentives. This way, he makes more money than that $20 million if he would have got being contracted.
So we got John Anderson also in the program saying hi to us as well. So he's stealing your intro apparently, Rob, because my intro from my boy Roberto. Me, John S. Anderson is here. So welcome, John, as always. Appreciate you coming on, man. So he wanted to make sure we knew his hymns. He usually comes on Facebook, of course, there. So, all right. So let's get into these linebackers here. So we have a few linebackers to talk about here. So obviously, even though you only have 2 linebackers on the field at a time, we really have a whole bunch of linebackers that we had this year. So we got Jalen Smith, of course, again. The guy we all wish we didn't have to sign every year. The guy who basically we put out there because there's nobody else available. And hopefully we never see him as a Giant again. I think that's safe to say, right? Anybody disagree on that?
I mean, as far as like veteran depth goes, I don't want to have to see him. Yeah.
Yeah. My whole thing is that I think we can draft a rookie to do just as good as he does, and hopefully have them not tear their ACL. And like I said, it's an upgrade to me right off the bat. If he signs somebody even mid rounds, like a third, fourth round kind of guy, could do just as much. Because Jalen Smith is just not Jalen Smith anymore. He's not the guy he was in Dallas. That's pretty obvious. And he doesn't have the range anymore to help in the run game. That's one of the biggest issues. How many times I see him in the wrong position on an outside run, and there he was running, trying to get to the guy, and just couldn't catch up. It was a very typical thing.
I think it all goes back to his injury at Notre Dame too.
Yeah. So we also had, of course, Micah McFadden, the only rookie to play for the entire season. Micah McFadden, everybody. The only rookie. Here we go.
There it is.
Here we go. Oof, that's a bad stat to have when you have one rookie that makes the entire year without an injury. That's really.
I wonder. Survived the ACL plague.
I gotta wonder if we had do we have like an NFL record for most rookies hurt in a season? Considering how many picks we had a lot of picks. And for only one of them.
It's pretty amazing that this team, as bad as we were last year, makes the playoffs without having a rookie class to supplement this roster. I mean, I think that's a tribute to Shane and in the front office for just scrap heaping guys to get a roster and to do well.
And especially because besides Kayvon, who really was, a guy that you looked at and go, this guy looks pretty good. I mean, Evan Neal obviously didn't look the best. Dane Belton, I thought, left something to be desired. Micah McFadden, I think, could be a backup in this league, but we had him starting. So basically out of position to a certain degree because of that. He shouldn't be starting in this league, at least how he's playing this year. A lot of the guys that were in there still didn't light it up.
And I would say Wandale was coming on when he went down.
Yes. No, I'll give you that 100%. I'm a big Wandale guy. I'm a bigger Wandale guy than Wandale himself is. Yeah, exactly. That man, seriously, he needs to go hang out with Leonard Fournette and go to the Golden Corral or something. That man needs to eat something. He's 170 pounds or something like that. Sheesh.
Yeah, maybe 180
How was that in middle
pounds,
school?
Was he 6'2"?
He's not even 6'2". Yeah,
he's less than that.
Yeah, he's 5'10", 170 pounds. He's ridiculously tiny.
So I got he 55 pounds in this guy.
He makes Earl Boykins look big. There you go, Marshall. I got the basketball in for you.
Good one.
I mean, at his position, speed's more necessary than size.
Yeah,
but he's also got those tiny arms.
T-Rex arms, you're saying?
Yeah.
I can meet the Robinsons as I'm hitting my mic here. Got to meet the Robinsons' little arm there. But yeah, I mean, it's like I said. I don't think Micah McFadden is going to be a bad rotational piece in this league necessarily, but I don't think he has starter material, at least from what I've seen this year.
Well, I think he's probably your number 2 inside backer, ideally. So he's probably not your 3-down guy if you're going to be running nickel most of the time. I don't know. I would agree with you, but I also think that if for a stretch of 3 or 4 games he has to be your starter, I don't think that's horrible. I think you can get through 3 or 4 games with him having to plug and play, and that's important. Because that's valuable depth, right? Solid pick, but definitely needs supplementing, needs upgrading as well.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely a solid pick, especially where we got him. It's not like we drafted him in the first round. So if you get a guy who can be on your team for 5-6 years as a backup linebacker, that's not a bad pick. It's not. So next up we have Tay Crowder, who's already gone. So we don't talk too much about Tay Crowder. He had 45 tackles on the year, but he gone. Had a little whiny Twitter time there, complaining about not playing enough, and now he's playing somewhere else, not enough. So bye Tay Crowder. Next up we got Landon Collins, who's really more that hybrid safety linebacker, but I'm putting him squarely in the linebacker group because, let's be honest, I don't think anybody here wants him to be in coverage whatsoever. so I'm not going to call him a safety.
No.
I'm calling him a linebacker, what he is. And it's amazing how excited Giant fans were when we got this guy. Like, really, like, they're like, oh my God, we got Landon Collins back. Like, as if we got the Landon Collins of 5 years ago back. Like,
it's the same group that can't wait to get Beckham back. So,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, like, I knew it was nostalgia. I still dusted off my Landon Collins jersey when we signed him.
Yeah, Grump might have as well, so.
Yeah, I mean,
but you know what? I think it's more than that. I think when you know what the system is and when they brought him in, I think you have a better idea of what you're going to expect from him. When Washington signed him to the colossal deal that they did, they had him in mind as a true safety to be doing a ton of the coverage that we as Giants fans already knew that he was kind of shoddy at. When Wink Martindale brings him in, you already know that he's grabbing him for his downhill ability. And you get the added ability of the fact that he's not horrible in coverage. He's just not reliable all the time. So if that's a secondary skill set that has to be used, it's workable. So there was reason for optimism. And I think he showed it in the limited time. I mean, I think he spent most of the time on like the practice squad or just generally on the bench as he kind of worked his way into the linebacker.
He kept that bench very warm. He did a great job.
Yeah.
It was. I heard no complaints from anybody that sat where he was sitting later on. It was just like,
but you know something, a roster needs a guy like him. Like, you guys are Knicks fans. You know that Derrick Rose right now is probably never going to play unless it's ultimate garbage time. But he's embraced his role as being a locker room guy, a guy who helps facilitate the system they're doing. So, again, Landon Collins, for how much he's going to. We can re-sign him for. There is a role for him on this team.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree on that. I think he's as a position on this team as a backup or a special teams kind of guy, or for the leadership qualities you mentioned there.
And he gets paid
the veteran minimum. Veteran minimum. Like, he's the guy you want on your team because he was excited to come back to the Giants. He wanted to be a Giant. Giants
is that what we're doing? Because listen, I'd be excited to be a Giant. So are we going to put me on the team as a linebacker now? I mean, is that the qualifications we have? Like, you look really happy to be here. Let's re-sign you.
Wait.
We want no malcontents here.
He's got the veteran status to mentor younger players, and they teach up.
But
so
when you can't be Jason Smith and Micah McFadden, I'm sorry, the talent's got to be there as well.
I mean, I think if he's your nickel or your dime guy, then his job in Wink's defense is to run forward and smack somebody, preferably the quarterback. You could do worse.
Yeah. No, you can do worse, but you can do a whole lot better.
You could do better. I mean, right now they have $30 million, 11 draft picks, and like 50 holes to fill. So
yeah.
I mean,
not everybody could be a star.
I'm not saying
the couple spots you could say you could do worse. I mean, he checks a little box somewhere.
Well, we do have another option at linebacker, apparently, because John Anderson said, I'll sit and get paid. So therefore, we have another option here. John Anderson for linebacker. We'll start the campaign right now. So, all right. So next up on the list, we have Jared Davis. We talked about him a minute ago. And like I said, I think he is a guy that you'll see potentially get some playtime next year. But the Giants like him. What was that, Rob? Oh, I thought he said something. Okay. So I did see Cranky fan, though, doing the Florida chomp there, though.
Okay.
Hey, once a Gator, always a Gator.
I know it. I hear you always talking about it in the podcast. Florida man over there. Don't give that man any bath salts, anybody.
Florida man.
I should take my shirt off to be really Florida man.
Oh, there we go. Hold on.
My jean
Hold on. You have to wait 23 minutes. We can't have any nudity till after 10 o'clock. That's the rule we have here.
That doesn't stop them in Florida. So.
There are rules around here. This is
It's not Floribama. We're not in Floribama. Okay, if we're in Floribama, that's a different thing. The Panhandle, they do whatever they want in the Panhandle. That's like, woo. That's true South there at that point. People say the Florida's not the real South. They're right.
That's why we stuck Tallahassee up there.
The Panhandle. That's the Florida is the one state. The more north you go, the more south you get. Mm-hmm. It's really weird like that. Yeah. It really is.
The more south you get, the more north you get from everyone retiring and moving down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's basically what it is. And that's why you have there's a clear line too, because you got 75 in the West Coast, you got 95 in the East Coast. You get all the New Yorkers all on the East Coast. You get all the Midwesterners on the West Coast. That's why I'm here in the Midwest, to get rid of y'all. It's so much more slow paced here. John S. Anderson says that I could be a defensive tackle. There we go. We're just going to fill up the roster with us apparently at that point. Who cares? We get paid. Can I get Daniel Jones kind of money? I'm just saying, like.
I have the backwards hat, so I'm a Davis Webb type here.
Listen, I've always said
that's the best job. That's the best job.
And he's getting paid again. He's not even playing now.
Yeah.
But now he's got to deal with Russell Wilson. I'm not sure that's an upgrade or not.
I'm the guy who gets the tee after the kickoff. I run out and I get the tee and come back.
Listen, I have said forever, if I ever have a son or even a daughter, I have no problem teaching her as well, this kicker. Nobody ever teaches their kid to be the kicker. You just sit there, you run in the field, you kick the ball 5-6 times a game, and you get paid millions of dollars. Brilliant. Probably the easiest college scholarship. Probably the easiest college scholarship to get as well, because I don't know how many of y'all played football in high school. I was starting left bench, and when I played, it was basically you had one person on the entire team that knew how to kick the ball. It was like the kicker by default, because nobody else knew how to do it.
My nephew was a kicker from high school.
See, and was he the only guy? Listen, it is a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure because
see, he was recruited out of soccer to play for the team. So.
See, that's what happens. That's what happens. Or you get a bunch of Scottish rugby players like we got. So let's see who we got next year. We're talking Jared Davis. See, you could get all sidetracked here. So yeah, obviously the Giants liked him because for everything you heard, they were trying to get him weeks before they actually even got him. They really wanted him on this team bad. So that tells you the fact they re-signed him so quickly. They wanted him really bad last year. He's going to play a role in this defense. He's going to. The guy also has a good pedigree coming out of the first round, obviously. Didn't really do much necessarily with Detroit there because he was sitting on their practice squad for a little while. But, like I said, a guy that they have a plan for. I'm gonna trust in Dable and Shane. They have a plan with this guy. Hopefully it works out.
Dable, I trust.
The problem is all these guys are... They're backups. They're fill-in guys. None of these guys are impact guys going forward, and that's something that needs to be addressed. And
and we're going to get into that with the free agents.
The headlines of this team are: we need wide receiver, we need all these different things, cornerback. But to me, and we've been saying it on our show all along, is linebacker is a critical need. So these guys, okay, if you want to bring back a Jared Davis, fine. He has a role potentially on this team to fill in a gap, but none of these guys are moving the needle as far as what we need. To really make the wing defense work.
Yeah, we need a true. Yeah, and like I said, we haven't. And it's the weirdest thing. We haven't had a talented linebacker, like I said, since Antonio Pierce, with the exception of 1 year of Beeson and 1 year of Blake Martinez. For a team so rich in history at the linebacker position, like we're gonna go put Harry Carson back out there. It's whatever 70 years old he is now at this point. Like we might as well like. He probably would play just as good as some of these guys. So, rest of the squad's kind of a quick run through here because there's really just special teams guys. Carter Coughlin, Cam Brown, guys that are good for special teams, guys you never want to see in the field. Austin Calitro played obviously this year as well. He already didn't even make it through the whole season, so I don't expect to see him back. He'll probably sign with his 30th team because he's been on every single team in the NFL. It feels like every single one. The talking Giants guys like to do their revenge game. And I think every single week it was a revenge game for Austin Calitro. It really was. It was crazy.
What helmet, when he goes into the Hall of Fame, what helmet will he wear?
Well, I think we're pretty safe to say we will not have this kind of issue.
It'll just be a helmet with an NFL shield on it.
Yeah.
Closest he's getting to the NFL if he drives by it when he drives through Canton. So
who was the one guy? And I don't know who we got as baseball fans here, except I know Cranky fans, a Rays guy there. But there was this one guy in baseball. He played for like 12 teams and made it to the Hall. I'm trying to remember who it was. I remember growing up, like they used to bring out the old timers at the All-Star games and all. And he'd wear a jersey with all the logos like on it. Like he wouldn't wear one jersey. He'd like random patches of jerseys. And I'm trying to remember who the hell it is.
Was it Julio Franco, I think? Was he?
No. Julio Franco was still playing. I'm talking like late 80s, early 90s kind of like this guy was in the Hall of Fame back then and played for that many teams.
Was he ever a banana?
Bobby Bonds played for like 11 teams. I don't think he's in the Hall of Fame, but he played for everybody.
No. If anybody knows, though, feel free to pop it in the comment section, guys, because seriously, it's going to bother the hell out of me until I figure it out. So pop it in the comment section, guys. Alrighty. So before we get started with free agent options, because we got to talk about fixing this. We talked about all the issues we are having here at the linebacker position for all these years. We are going to go ahead and unearth a brand new feature for the show, guys. So hopefully it works, because pressure's on, guys. First time, pressure is on. We are officially starting the goofball line here, guys, where you guys can call into the show. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you think. If you have any questions for the guest, also, of course, feel free. So the goofball line is 732-245-8736. Again, that's 732-245-8736. All right.
I'm just telling the cranky wife not to prank us while we're on here. So
listen, go for it, because we will ask her all the embarrassing questions at that point, like how many times you forget to take out the garbage and all those kind of questions. We'll ask away.
Well, she'll talk 49ers smack. We don't want that. So
we can't have that.
We'll just keep her in the other studio for now.
Just don't mention was the O2 game. Oof, don't mention that one.
That was, in all of my 40 plus years of watching sports, the angriest I've ever been after any sporting event for any team. And that includes Gator games that we've lost.
Oh my God.
That was like, yeah.
That was one of the worst.
2000s.
What's that? Sorry.
So even the Super Bowl the Giants had in the early 2000s.
Here's the thing, though: the Giants game in the Super Bowl you're talking about, the Ravens. That was an obvious loss from like pretty much kickoff to kickoff. It wasn't like we were in it. We were up huge in that 49er playoff game. Huge.
Yeah.
And we just blew it.
Yeah.
That son of a bitch, Shockey. He's the one who, remember? he had that one pass interference and he got the penalty for unsportsmanlike.
I feel like that's his official nickname at this point.
Pretty much.
It's like on his trading cards, even like.
SOB Shockey.
Well, I have a jersey with the Shockey. I have a Shockey jersey at the top that says "son of a bitch."
And I guarantee you, he probably doesn't even hate that nickname as a scary part. Knowing him and how he is,
it's
probably
too stupid to know. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, man, I'm an SOB. I'm a tough SOB.
It might literally.
And he drops a Jaeger bomb, then all of a sudden, like,
he's too stupid.
Let's go.
He spelled SOB wrong. So
yeah, Jaeger bomb. Alrighty, so on to the free agents here. So we have so many free agents. I'm telling you guys, this is like an amazing time to need a linebacker. Like, I can't remember a more filled roster of possible linebackers than this year. It's crazy. So you got Levante David of the Bucks, Trayman Edmonds, obviously, of the Bills, David Long of the Titans, TJ Edwards of the Eagles, Ryan Dudley, we actually already said, too, the Giants have him on their radar as well. So TJ Edwards, a name to watch out for. Leighton Vander Esch. We got Bobby Okereke at the Colts there. Jermaine Pratt with the Bengals. Drew Tranquil with the Chargers. You got Alex Singleton with the Broncos. Eric Kendrick of the Vikings just got released recently. Like, oh my God. Like, is this not like an amazing list of possible people to sign? Especially now that we actually have money, thanks to the Daniel Jones deal going the way it went.
Oh, dude, it's great. I mean, the three guys I would target right off the bat. TJ Edwards, I did not see that Dunleavy tweeted that they're already targeting him. That's fantastic. He has been probably the most unsung hero in that Philly defense.
Yep.
Easily. Because, that defensive line gets a ton of credit. They like to tell you all about their sack stats for Hassan Reddick, et cetera. But TJ Edwards is one of the best. I think he's probably the best linebacker in the NFC East, right?
Yes.
I would say, I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe, I think it's pretty safe to say.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to count Micah Parsons as a linebacker. I don't think that really
I count him as an edge myself, but he's kind of a hybrid half and half on that, but I count him as an edge.
But regardless, I mean, he's at least in the conversation. It would be a massive flip. That's flipping the field for our linebacker spot. And I think ditto for Levante David. He's on the older side, so I don't know how. But I don't think you're really going to want to sign Levante David for more than like 2 years, and then you work the draft. You work the draft underneath that. You have somebody work underneath him. I would be happy with Levante David. Another guy I think has been undersung in Tampa.
Yeah. Here's my only issue with David is the age. I mean, he's 33 years old right now. I didn't look to see when he turns 34, so I don't know if he's going to be 33 or 34 at the start of the season here. But you figure start of the season's 9 months from now, so therefore, or actually no,
if we
6
were
months from now, so 50-50 would be 34 at that point.
If we were a year or two further down the path, down the window thing, I'd be like a little more, okay, that might be a final piece that we need. But I think we're still on the beginning side of this window, even if the window is even open yet, that I may take a pass on someone of his age.
Yeah. He's I only got 2 of the guys in this list that I had here that were over 30, and he's one of the 2, and he's the older of the 2 because Eric Kendrick's also 31. But 31, you figure you can do a 3 or 4 year deal and still get your money's worth out of it. 33, you're like,
deal, if you look at a 2-year deal, something that's not high paying, that you get at a low cost, that's someone that you can bring in as a veteran that could coach up some from the draft.
So
it's not
what kind of concerns me overall though is
if you get them at cheap costs.
I don't want to integrate somebody into our defense, have them be an important part of it, and then a year or 2 later they're done. We're not a player or 2 away.
That's why you draft underneath that. That's when you attack
the NFL
at the same time.
And also the NFL is kind of a year-to-year thing also because Wink could be gone after next year and it could be a different.
Bite your tongue, good sir. So. Bite your tongue.
But yeah, I mean.
Nope, you're muted now. You said Wink's going to be gone. We're muting you now. But yeah, I mean, personally, the guy I would love to see is Drew Tranquill. I think he'd be an amazing pickup for us. I think he's going to be a cheaper linebacker because he only had the 1 good year really in LA. But he's also a guy who rushes the passer. We all know how Wink in his defense likes to go ahead and incorporate guys like that to go ahead and rush the passer. Yeah. I think it's a good fit.
I like him as well, and I like how he's, like you said, he may not command the most money out of those linebacker guys. He might be a, I guess, tier 2 or B caliber linebacker in that position. And honestly, the way I think that Joe Schoen kind of wants to build this team is, I don't know if he wants to spend too much money at that linebacker spot. He always talks about positional value, and I kind of look at the linebackers as like the running back of the defense, where you kind of get the most juice out of them early on in their career. And then when they get that second contract, they produce more than the average running back that does, but kind of that similar, career trajectory. And I think that Tranquill will be a good option, but I think that they need to finally draft a linebacker early on in the draft. I know Shane has only had 1 draft here, but the Giants haven't drafted, a premier linebacker in forever. So
yeah. I think Carl Banks was the last one they drafted high, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think he's an interesting because, like you said, the mileage on the tires they get on those positions because they're running around nonstop, and it's a guy who only really started 1 year like that, huh?
Every play they're taking on a 300-pound lineman.
Yeah.
They're expected to get off that block and make a play at the line of scrimmage. They're taking a big hit every play. And then
so it's a guy who hasn't taken that many hits though, because he's, like I said, he's only 27. He hasn't really started much before this year, and he showed a lot. He's also been very good in coverage. I mean, speaking of coverage, when's the last time we had a linebacker that can cover a tight end?
Michael Boley.
I was gonna say Michael Boley.
LT. I mean, Jermaine Pratt is an option for that reason. The guy was literally the best coverage linebacker in the NFL last season.
Yeah, he started his career a little shaky, and that I don't want to say that's like cause for concern. Just basically that I don't know enough about him to know if that's cause for concern or not. Like I don't know if last year's fool's gold or if he was just kind of going through growing pains. So that would be something I would check out about Jermaine Pratt. I mean, I don't know if you guys know more about him in his career.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'll be honest. I'm not a Bengals guy, obviously, at that point. So, I've watched some tape on him to prepare for this and, read up some of what Bengals sites were saying to kind of see what their thoughts were on him. And they don't want to see him go. Point blank. They don't want to see him go. That's one of the guys they really do want to re-sign. One guy, I'll tell you that I have no interest in whatsoever, that I think a lot of people do, and I'm one of the few that has none, I think, and that's Tremaine Edmonds. I want nothing to do with him. He's going to want a ton of money. Before this year, he was horrible in coverage. I want a guy who can cover a tight end for once. Look at the games we had against the Vikings, against the Ravens, when they actually, had a pass-catching tight end. They wrecked us every single damn game. I want a guy who can cover a tight end for once.
I don't want to pay a linebacker $20 million either.
No,
that's what he's going to get.
Yeah, he's going to get it.
Well, we can't, so I think it's kind of a moot point.
Oh, yes, we can. If we can pay $40 million to Daniel Jones, we can find a way to pay $20 million to a linebacker. We just might be done shopping in free agency afterwards, but we can do it.
Yeah, we might be dumpster diving this year, I think. So.
Actually, Joe Shane said very specifically the opposite. He said because of this move with Jones and getting the first year down to $19 million, we actually have the money to go shopping.
But I think they're going to try and
shopping for scraps. Pretty much.
I think they might do one splash name, and or maybe it'll be like 2 like B-level splash like names or whatever. But I think most of the shopping is going to be like filling the remainder of the holes, like post draft, or maybe they missed out on a free agent that they were really gunning for, so they kind of did something else. I don't think that you're going to be seeing like shopping as in like multiple names.
That an Eagles move from a couple of years ago or something. We did a few years back. So, but we also won't be. I was talking.
Did you say Gettleman? Hold on, we got to mute him now.
Mute him again. Mute.
We don't talk about that guy.
That is the name that won't be spoken of.
Oh yes, he should not be spoken.
Understood.
But I think personally, if they go with the plan of not getting top tier guys and getting above average guys, which I think is a fair way to do it, because you don't want to go out and blow your whole load on one player there, so to speak, because you don't have the money to do that. But if we can go ahead and
be more like Deshaun Watson, spread it around.
Oh, wow. Oh,
hey-o.
He definitely spread something, all right. Oh, yeah.
Chlamydia.
What's going on here?
He's just a walking STD. Amongst other things that we won't get into, but
you got
Rob and I made it very clear where we're at. I personally think that man should be out of the NFL and should never be allowed to play football again. That's my own personal opinion. There are plenty of people that disagree with me, and I know it's kind of a controversial thing, so I won't even ask you guys your opinion on it. But that's my thing. Is I want him nowhere near the NFL. But I think if we get a couple of mid-range kind of guys, get a guy like Drew Tranquil to be our linebacker, go ahead and get a guy like Mike Gesicki as a tight end, so we have a weapon coming out of free agency as well, and then go ahead and get one more player, whether it be a middle an interior lineman on offense, corner, somebody like that. I think you can do that and you'll still be fine. Nothing crazy though.
I think Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think they might swing for a corner or a linebacker or something like that. Maybe something with a tight end, but I don't think so. I think they really will try and build through the draft. The reason I say linebacker corner is I think you get a more immediate. I mean, obviously, you get a more immediate impact with a free agent. I just think, generally speaking, when you draft at that position, it does take time for them to acclimate to the NFL game. I think the Sauce Gardners of the world are a very, very rare commodity that they just come into the league and they're all pro first year. That just doesn't happen often.
Every time I hear that name, I just want to cry. I wanted that guy as a Giant so bad last year. I was like, the two guys I really, really wanted, and Cranky, you like this one. Pierce, running back out of Florida that went to the Texans that lit it up. I something just told me that guy was going to be a beast. And I wanted Sauce in the first round so bad.
It would have been nice if he ran more than 13 times a game at Florida, so everybody would know. I knew what he was, but
I knew what he was too because I saw that. I'm like, wait a minute, this guy never touched the ball, and when he does good things. I mean, a running back with low mileage on him that I can get that does good things. Yes, sign me up. Imagine how much different this year's talk would have been about Barkley if we had Damian Pierce in the background.
I think that would have been it. I think the philosophy with Joe Shane and them is I think they have to make an honest assessment of where we are. I think Giant fans are excited. We made the playoffs.
Playoffs.
The next step must be the Super Bowl.
You just want to win the game.
I think they're really looking at it as this is still year 2 of a rebuild, and there's a lot of roster that has to be built. And to Grump's point, you build that through the draft. We are not 1 or 2 players away from a final push to the Super Bowl. So, they may kick the tires on some higher price free agents, but I think that the average Giant fan is going to be a little disappointed that there's not as many names, but it's in the interest of building a sustainable roster for the next several years. So that window will start and won't be just a one and done type thing. They won't be like a Rams type of build. Like we're going all in for 1 year. I think, and there's still a lot to build on this roster.
And when you're in a rebuild and you're paying your quarterback $37.5 or $40 million, you got to build through the draft. Like you can't just go out and pay everybody else. We have a lot of holes to fill, and we're going to have a lot of money tied up between potentially a quarterback and a running back. Then you're going to have the highest paid maybe left tackle in the league, maybe the highest paid nose tackle in the league in Dexter Lawrence. Like this team's going to have to build through the draft. And I think that's why you saw them flip Tony for 2 picks, obviously for other reasons as well, but they're going to try to get picks as I think they know this is going to have to be a youth movement.
Yeah, and you know what? I actually had somebody bring this up to me this morning, something about I guess I just tweeted about how cap friendly or whatever, team friendly, the details that we do know about DJ's contract were or whatever. And that was brought up is, in a couple of years, we're going to have to pay McKinney and Thomas and Dexter Lawrence.
Yep.
And they're all kind of coming on the like those deadlines of having to deal with that are also coming on the eve of the end of Leonard Williams' contract, the end of Adoree Jackson's contract. That's 2 out of 3 right there. They're kind of going to offset at the same time that the cap's going to open up room. I'm not super duper worried, but I think just in general, I think this front office's philosophy is always going to be every year we're going to be talking about like there's only going to be like 1 big name or 2 big names. I don't think they're ever going to just go crazy with the cap room that they have. I think the cap is going to stay kind of close to the ceiling going forward. And I think they would rather fill it up by re-signing their own cornerstones where you're more likely to get a deal or, you even lower the cap number for the year that you're currently operating in. And I think that's just going to be their MO going forward.
Yeah.
And Grump, I'll give you the third guy they're going to lose at that point, which takes care of Xavier McKinney's contract right there, is when they lose next year off the books the rest of the money for Kenny Golladay.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Because keep in mind, we're going to cut him, obviously, but what is it, $12 million cap hit we still have for the dead cap on him, if I remember correctly? So $12 million right there, that pays for Xavier McKinney.
If that's a pre-June 1st cut, right? That's the number?
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, they already announced March 15th. So
no, I saw some people today say that he talked about potential that they haven't decided that Joe Shane had said that, but everything I've read said it was going to be, immediate, like just take the hit this year and call it a day.
I think the quote was, "We have to take our medicine this year," was the quote from Shane.
Yeah. Just a spoonful of medicine helps the Golladay go down.
Hopefully it's not great medicine.
Oh, yes. Grape medicine, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, who can't remember the grape?
It's the worst.
It was always grape or cherry every single one.
I was going to say cherry.
Always cherry.
Grape or cherry.
It was just red. It wasn't even cherry. It was just
it was like
to aspirin flavored. So I mean,
it was like if Twizzlers was a liquid flavor, that'd be what the cough syrup tasted like. Like liquid Twizzlers.
It was like
sounds like a Friday night in high school.
Twizzlers dipped in booty holes.
I must have gone to a different high school than you because we weren't having Twizzlers on Friday nights, that's for sure.
Well, they weren't Twizzlers either, so.
Hey-o.
Yeah.
So let's talk to some draft guys, but before we do, I want to hear from you guys each as far as if you guys get to target 1 linebacker. I know Grump gave a couple, so you can narrow it down to 1 here. If you get 1 linebacker, you get to take there to put on the roster here. Who'd be the 1 guy you want to go with? We'll kind of go clockwise here, so we'll start with Marshall and make our way to the Grump last.
1 guy I would like to see the Giants go after in free agency is Deion Jones. Kind of didn't play that well this year for the Falcons. And he got traded to the Browns, but before that, he had like 3 straight years of 100 tackles. Obviously not that same guy anymore, but he's a true sideline-to-sideline speed linebacker. And I would say our defense last year was pretty slow sideline to sideline. And I think you can get him on a cheaper deal as he's kind of a year removed away from being really one of the best linebackers in the league. And I think getting him in a Wink Martindale defense could maybe, bring him back to that, as I just don't really want to pay too much for a linebacker. And I think you can get him on a cheap 2-year, $8 million, 2-year, $10 million deal.
I like it. He's shopping at Ross now. He's not shopping with the big bucks. He's shopping at Ross.
There we go.
I only got so many dollars.
Burlington Coat Factory. They're more than gray coats right there. Which, by the way, if anybody's wondering, yes, they do have Burlington Coat Factories in Florida. And I don't know why, because nobody needs a damn coat. I wonder if that confused Floridians when it first came down here.
Oh, that's not true. When your blood gets thin, and when it's like 60 degrees out in December, everyone's freezing their asses off.
He is right. You'll see, it's like,
true.
But we had a lot of cold days here actually this year. I didn't mean cold, obviously relative, but we had like a 2-week stretch where every morning I could see my breath. That was bad. When you're used to like 85 degrees and all of a sudden it goes down to 30 something, yeah, it gets bad. All right, who you got, Rob?
Yeah, 30 like twice. Stop. Anyway, I don't think TJ Edwards is going to be that cheap, but I do like him as a pickup because
so you want to go TJ. You want to go big.
I want to go a little bit bigger there. I want to put the Giants' name back in being a good at this position, and I also believe let's steal from our division and take away that talent and put it on our talent. So this way, not only will the Eagles be worse, we will be better. It's a double win.
There we go. So we got going small, going big. Who we got, Cranky?
I'm having a problem hearing you guys. My headphones are screwed up. Go to Grump.
Uh-oh. Go to Grump then. Grump, who you got?
I know that I was really, really ecstatic about TJ Edwards. It's mostly because I didn't know the Giants were actually talking about getting him. I don't know how realistic that is. I don't know what Philly would do to prevent us from getting him. Because as Rob said, that would be pretty detrimental to keep him in the division against them. So I'll say the guy I originally thought was more likely, Cam Sutton, corner from the Steelers. I liked him coming out at Tennessee. Real good man cover corner, probably a little too aggressive. He's worked a lot of that handsiness out, and he had a good year last year. I haven't really followed his Pittsburgh career, but I was curious when I saw he hit the market, checked out his tape from last year. I would welcome that because I think that, even if they're drafting a corner this year, and I'm sure they will, I would prefer to let that corner sit instead of forcing him to start. If he earns his way to the starting spot, that's fine. But to just force him in there because we got nobody else, that usually is a recipe for disaster. So I like the idea of buying a corner.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. But now, if you had to get a linebacker, though, who are you going with?
Oh, it has to be a linebacker. Then it would be TJ Edwards.
Well, just for this conversation, because I think I think it's pretty obvious if you listen to all the rumors going out there, we're going to sign a linebacker. What linebacker it is, who knows? Because there's like 50 million on the market right now, but we're going to sign a linebacker.
I would go TJ Edwards mostly because at that point, if you're going to buy one, I would rather buy young for all the reasons we talked about before. I think Levante David might be an outlier. He may be old, but he certainly doesn't look it right now. But if I had to choose, I'd rather sign the guy I can get for 4 years than 2. So,
yeah, no, I can definitely get that. You back, Cranky, or?
I'm back.
Okay.
Did anybody say TJ Edwards?
No one. No one said
no,
that. You were the only one to say TJ Edwards. You were.
Grump and I both said TJ Edwards.
Yeah. There's been a theme there. So I like that. And the one thing I really like about that is not only do we get a really good linebacker if we do get him, we take away from a division rival. So it not just helps us for the year, it hurts somebody we have to play twice a year at least. 3 times this year. Not that we want to talk much about the Eagles, the 3 games, because that was not good. But yeah, no, so...
The comedic timing on that question, Cranky, man. I had a mouthful of water. I almost fucking died. That was beautiful.
What?
We just got off the back-to-back people saying that just picking TJ Edwards.
Who picked this guy?
Did anyone pick TJ Edwards?
Hey, I got this great. Hey, don't tell anybody between the 4 of us, the 5 of us. TJ Edwards. Good one.
Who's that?
He seems like a good pick.
You would think so, Rob. I think the Grump would think so as well. Like I said, I like him. I just concerned with how much dollars it's going to take to get him. That's my only concern. I have no concerns with the play whatsoever. I think he's if money was no issue, he'd be the top linebacker I'd want to get. Number 1 on the board of free agent linebackers this year.
Well, I guess that's the question: is how much money, remaining cap money, do you want to allocate towards linebacker as opposed to other needs on this team?
I personally wouldn't want to go more than like a $10 million a year kind of linebacker.
Yeah.
I'm probably conservative in that number compared to others because I want to plug some of the holes, and I can't plug holes if I don't get money.
I'd rather stretch it because than an inside linebacker. Anyway, in my opinion, I would.
I agree with you there. But here's the thing. I'll stretch that. Normally, I'd agree with you. I don't want to spend more than $10 million. But Wink doesn't really field more than like one linebacker at a time. So I'm okay stretching the money. I don't think that we're going to have a roster that has a normal amount of linebackers. I think we're going to have extra DBs. He likes to use safeties in that spot. Yep. So if they stretch how much they're going to pay that one guy, I'm all right with that.
And if they're going to pay a linebacker, he's going to need to be a guy that never comes off or doesn't need to come off the field because of lack of coverage ability. There were so many times this year when the Giants would have McKinney and Love and Jefferson and Jason Pinnock, as well as Landon Collins on the field, 4 or 5 safeties at one time, including Dane Belton, and absolutely no linebackers. Like, I know it was 3rd and 12, 3rd and 11. They wouldn't have a linebacker on the field. So that's why it's like, if you are going to pay one of those guys, they need to be able to play in those situations.
Yeah. 100%. And John Anderson comes in with Tremaine Edmonds. And, like I said, my thing is he's going to get paid. Player. Yeah, he's going to get paid close to $20 million. I can pretty much guarantee it. He'll get Roquan Smith kind of money. And the other issue is, like I said, before this year, he hasn't been good in coverage. And is this year an outlier? Is he just learned all of a sudden? Or was it a one-time fluke kind of deal and it's his best year in coverage? I don't know. As he comes back in with he's 24, 25. Yeah, he's 24, I believe. But yeah, it's not just the age; it's the talent's got to match the money. And
I think with Edmonds, it is. I wouldn't like to spend the money on him, but you've heard Joe Shane talk about how important personal relationships are when bringing in players and why he wants to pay his own guys. Well, he spent time in Buffalo with Edmonds, so if he thinks he is that guy, then he won't have a problem giving him that money.
Yeah. I just don't want to spend that.
No, I don't think they will. I just think it's interesting that they have a relationship.
Yeah. All righty. So let's get into the draftable linebackers here because we got a decent amount here, but it's weird because I feel like every single one of them has a pretty decent Achilles heel. Like there's not a single linebacker that I look at and go, that's the guy. That's the guy that I want on the team. That's the guy that I think is an instant starter, the guy that does everything we need. So I went based off PFF rankings. I like to change it up every single episode pretty much since nobody's paying me to use their rankings. So we got top one is number 38 is Dagan Henley from Washington State. Interesting linebacker because this was a guy who was a former quarterback. Has not played a lot of the linebacker position really until college. Very athletic, explosive, can create pressure, but he's still learning the position and he's not too big. He's more of a tweener. So when I hear the word tweener with linebackers, it just always scares me because every single time I feel like we get this guy's like, he's a tweener. He's almost a safety, but he's a linebacker. It becomes like a guy that they don't know how to use in the coaching staffs. A guy who never performs up to the level of the height that these guys typically have. So I like him if I can get him later than, first, second round, which I think he's going to go in the second round. If I can get him like 3rd, 4th round, I'll take a shot at a guy like that. But if I got to get him with the 2nd round pick, not a guy I'm too particularly interested. And we also got to lump him together with him is Trenton Simpson out of Clemson, who is ranked 59 by PFF, but I keep seeing him on boards as like a 1st round pick kind of guy, whereas I see Henley more as a 2nd round pick kind of guy. Very fast, good tackler, can create pressure, coverage pretty decent on pass plays, but again, a guy who's very small for the position. And those tweeners just scare the crud out of me. I know what you guys think as far as that, but I trust Wink to do what he's got to do, but I don't trust them to be able to produce in the NFL.
I like Henley. He's like 6'2", 230. So he's not too small. And like you said, he played quarterback. He actually played a little receiver as well. And I like that about him. He's definitely more of a coverage guy. But yeah, I don't like him at 25, and I don't really like him at 55 either. But if you have one of your 2 third-round picks there, sure. But I don't want to spend one of those premium picks on a guy like him. I like other linebackers. He's number 3 on my board at linebacker.
Yeah,
100% agree.
Yeah. When we were looking earlier on doing the earlier mock drafts before the season even ended, he was like a 4th round pick in a lot of these mock drafts. Not that that's obviously the marker of where somebody goes, but it's interesting to see him kind of rise up from people thinking of him as a 4th round pick kind of guy to move up now like a 2nd round pick. It's interesting to see that. So we got next up Jack Campbell, ranked number 64 out of Iowa. Big guy. This is not a tweener guy, that's for sure. Good processor, leader on the team. Speed has definitely been an issue from what I've seen tape-wise of him, where he's had trouble kind of going side to side when he's got to. Had trouble in man coverage as well. So that's a no-go for me on that guy as well. It's like I keep saying, everything I guys see, I'm like, oh my God, great. And then
honestly, Blake Martinez.
What was that?
He's like a Blake Martinez to me. Good inside the tackle box, plays downhill, but you don't want him going backward. You want him going forwards.
Yeah. And like I said, I want a guy, like we talked about before, I want a guy, if we're going to have a guy start potentially as that middle linebacker, even if it's a rookie, I want a guy who can stay on the field. And he's not a guy who's going to stay in the field because we know loves to do man coverage. Man coverage and blitzes. So he can help with the blitzes, but if you got to put him in man coverage, that's going to be an issue.
I actually have a question for Grump, because he was at the Senior Bowl. He was watching the practices. Like, who were some of the guys that stood out for you, and just from your eyeballs watching the practices and stuff?
I think that the two positions that are the hardest to actually judge at the Senior Bowl are linebacker, running back. And it's just based on the nature of practice, right? A lot of the times it's just very drill heavy, and the only time you really get stuff is in team portions, and it really just comes down to how the coaches run the team portions. So like if they run a lot of, sometimes they'll just run team running plays. And if the linebackers know that it's a running play, you're just not going to get a true rep out of them anyway. So like, even if they blow the whole play up, it's like, well, they kind of knew. And I don't know. So the guys that kind of showed up, they moved around from day to day. Cam Jones, a guy from Indiana, had a great Monday or Tuesday, the first day of the week. He was like fantastic all over the field. I was trying to hone in on the kid from Tulane, Dorian Williams. There it is. Dorian Williams. He moved around really, really well. He looked good in coverage. But it's a difficult thing. Everyone was kind of keying in on the Texas kid, Overshown, who I'm sure is coming up pretty soon on Drew's list here, right? DeMarvion Overshown from Texas.
As John Anderson also asks about him as well. He's next. He is next up on the list, number 82. Wow. So good size and speed, violent tackler. This is the guy you'll see on like when Boomer's doing his post game show there on ESPN Plus. You're gonna see him go whoop, whack. All kinds of crazy automatopoeias will come out of that guy's mouth. The automatopoeia king himself. But yeah, he's also been inconsistent. He's missed some tackles. And I don't know if it's because he's just not wrapping up correctly or if he's going for the big flashy hit or what the issue is. But I've seen some missed tackles on tape from him. He's also had some issues with the run, which is leading me to believe it's a tackling technique issue, which is nice because you can coach that. You can hopefully coach that, I should say there. But yeah, that's a guy who I see a lot of people talking about overall as a good mid-round kind of, linebacker for us. And like we talked about earlier, I think we're going to get one in free agency to be our main guy. So getting a guy like this and one of our third-round picks to hopefully, be the second linebacker from we're in a true 3-4 or, be a guy who can spot start for the injury. I think it's not a bad spot for him, that's for sure.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think, I don't know if his issues with consistency are coachable or not, but I mean, two things that jump out at you as you watch guy after guy after guy. It doesn't matter who the player is and what the position is. There's two things that are universally not coachable, and it's like size and want to, right? So especially when it comes to a defensive player, that somebody that has that violence, like you're talking about with DeMarvion Overshown, you can't teach that. And a guy can be super athletic in all the right spots, but still get trucked by a running back or something like that. When you get a guy that just knows how to run downhill and wants to hit somebody, it immediately catches my eye, just jumps right out at you. And it's something you can't teach somebody. So it's a valuable thing to evaluate, I think.
Overshown was number 4 on PFF's list.
He was. Hold on, what do we got here? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Wow. Where do they have Sanders? Drew Sanders.
Oh my God, you're just segueing great, just like John Anderson did here. Look at
That's
that. Look at that. Number 95 on their list, Drew Sanders out of Arkansas. And this is the guy that I'm actually very interested in.
I was going to say, he's my number one.
Yeah, he's the guy I'm very, very interested in. So transfer from Bama, switch from edge to linebacker. So he only played 1 year as an actual linebacker. Good athletic, but raw. But he's got a lot of value as a pass rusher. There's a reason he was an edge in Bama. This guy can rush the passer as well as play linebacker. And again, we talked about it. What does Wink like to do? Throw blitzes from weird spots. This is a guy I can see being a backup linebacker for us, a guy that we can see throwing into weird blitz packages as well. Like, this is a guy that I think is fully on for what Wink wants to do. I think it's a great pick for us there. But he's a project, and you have to know that going in because he only played 1 year in college at the linebacker position.
He had 10 sacks this year at Arkansas as an off-ball backer.
Yeah.
And I just think like that in a Wink Martindale defense, that's pretty invaluable. Some people, our draft people at Chat Sports, they call him Micah Parsons light. Not Micah Parsons, but that's how he plays. Where he can play all
like the Wish version of Micah Parsons.
Yeah. Dollar Tree Micah Parsons.
The Dollar Tree, $1.25 tree, sir. $1.25 tree. Don't you forget about inflation.
Third down spots. He can get after the passer. He can put his hand in the dirt, and I think we could use another pass rusher too, especially if Ojulari is going to continue to have injuries pop up.
Oof.
Which hopefully not.
Yeah. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. But yeah. Like I said, that's my guy right there. I think is like that's the guy to go get. And if he's ranked number 95 on their board, if we can get him with that, that Kadarius Toney traded pick there, the end of the third round or their earlier third round pick.
I would be shocked if he made it at round 3.
Listen, I'm being hopeful here, Marshall. Let me be hopeful, damn it. I've had so many bad news over the last 10 years as a Giant fan. I'm trying to be hopeful, okay?
I don't think this front office is shy for taking their guy when they think you know what I mean? Like, I think the Wandale pick showed me, the Cordell Flott pick showed me, they're going to take their guy, and they know. I don't know. I don't think, if Marshall says he's not going to be there day 3 or round 3, I don't think that's going to prevent them from using their second round pick on somebody if they like him.
Not if they like him enough.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think the Giants, like you said, with the Flott pick and the Wandale Robinson pick, I think their boards look different than the general media's board.
Just a little different.
I don't know. I'm willing to. I don't think that Joe Shane really was trusting the full gamut of the scout information he was getting, the people in the front office. I heard a lot of really weird rumors. I heard a lot of things where he was still in communication with people in Buffalo. So I don't know how true any of that is, but a lot of weird shit happened with front office shuffling after the draft too. I don't like that. Everything to me about last year felt like he was kind of doing his own thing. I think he had his own inner circle, and I don't think he had the full reach of the Giants organization yet under his wings.
It's a circle. It's a circle.
Inside the circle.
I agree with you 100%. And I think definitely that was his plan from the get-go is let's get to the draft, let's assess the scouts, and then let's take it from there. And the fact that they made changes afterwards just tells you how much he trusted the scouts and what they were saying.
That's good memory. I forgot about that. But
they just weren't his guys. It's just, I have a plan. These are my people. And, you can't, it's very hard to, change direction, in the fourth quarter, basically. So.
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned the Wandale pick as a change because keep in mind they traded down twice before they picked him. So not only did they narrow down, and this is our guy we want, but they said, hold on, we want him here, but it's probably a little early. Let's trade down. Yeah. Probably still early. Let's trade down again. And I give credit to that.
If they had a guy that they wanted and they got picked and then they went to Wandale, but you'll never know.
They'll tell you otherwise, of course, even if that was
that's the guy we always wanted.
Day one. Oh yeah. Just like we wanted Eli Apple back in the day,
didn't
right?
work out, but
so yeah. So next up, we have Dorian Williams out of Tulane. They ranked him number 97. Good size, good on special teams in college too, which is a key part. Because keep in mind, a lot of the backup linebackers, where do they make the money in the beginning? They make their earnings off of special teams. has had trouble getting off of blocks and not necessarily the best of instincts either. He's kind of reactionary as opposed to knowing where things are going. But again, when you get a guy that's not your first couple of rounds, you can't expect not to have issues. That's why they're not going first round.
He looks like a project to me. I did my due diligence when I was down in Mobile. He's got traits that you like, but that is not going to be fixing 2023, that move, if it's made. That's a future move. That's down the line.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Another guy we have on here that I actually like a lot, even though I don't think he's necessarily the best fit for our system, number 99, Von Pace Jr. out of Cincinnati. And, the guy's a quick burst. He's tough. He's a good blitzer. He's a smaller guy, but he's had issues in man coverage, and that's the one main reason why I don't think he's a fit for what we want to do defensively. That wouldn't necessarily scare me from taking him entirely, because as someone mentioned here, somebody may not be on our squad next year as a defensive coordinator. Like, do you necessarily draft with him being the guy for the next 5 years? Because he's probably not going to be there past another year or two.
Hopefully,
assuming things continue this way.
Yeah.
But hopefully the head coach and the general manager are going to be here for a while. So it's their philosophy, what they want to do. So if Wink does leave, or Capper leaves, on the other side, you still have a mold of what you want. So.
I honestly think, and I'm obviously not involved in these discussions, but I honestly think that Dable, when he hired Wink, said, "You take care of the defense."
Yeah.
And is much more hands off, because I think
I'll tell you
had
this
to
much.
say that to get him.
I'll tell you this much. Wink was on the field in Mobile, away from just about everybody else. Yep. Shane and Dable, they were always kind of buddying around. Wink was right there with the players he was not with Giant staff. He was doing his thing. But I'll say this, man, look, I'm not drafting a linebacker that might fit a future system, maybe that's 5'10". I mean, if you were worried about a 6'2" guy, that's my big concern, because he's fun to watch and he makes some really cool splash plays. He's super athletic. He's real fast. He's downhill. But I haven't seen him take on an offensive lineman block. The only times he's really, really won those situations, he's like kind of ducked under them. He's used his height to his advantage. I don't know that he's going to make it at the next level yet. So I'm a little worried making that move with him. But I mean, it's still, early March. I might change my mind watching more stuff.
That's the thing we always do right before draft time. We're like, I like this guy all along. He's my guy. So next up, Penny, for your thoughts on Noah Sewell. And of course, I did say Penny for your thoughts for a reason, as his brother Penny Sewell, the offensive tackle, first-round pick, also out of Oregon for the Detroit Lions there. Big guy, strong guy, pass rusher, not necessarily the best of range. He's not your speedy linebacker.
I was kind of disappointed. I expected more. But I think that there's stuff there that you can develop. I don't know. I guess maybe it was the name. It was the school. I just thought it would come with a little bit more flash. And when I watched him, I was just kind of, I don't know. I was let down. You were right. Like, he's not your speedy linebacker.
No, he's about the same speed as his brother does.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yikes.
Yeah. So next up, we got number 121, Cam Jones out of Indiana. Explosive tackler, good range and run support, great leader. The big question I have for him, otherwise I think he could be a decent, guy for us to pick up, is what's going on with his foot injuries. He missed the whole second half of the year with a foot injury. Those foot injuries are tricky sometimes in guys. Like, you see some guys pop back like it's nothing. You see other guys take a year or so before they even get back to what they were. So without having medical knowledge, I can't say.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the fracture. Depends on where the fracture is on the bone itself. Depends on which bone it is. Sometimes,
well, yes, it's on the bone itself, or that's not a fracture.
Obviously, depends where on the bone it is. Is it high up towards your ankle? Is it closer down towards the toes? It makes a difference how you
I'm not a doctor, but I believe the foot bone is connected to the ankle bone. The ankle bone is connected to the shin bone.
I too had that lesson.
Yes.
Oh, it's the sock bone.
Yes, I learned that right after learning about the wheels in the bus to go around and around.
Yeah.
Wait, they do?
I would say he moved well in Alabama. There was really kind of no indication of anything with him favoring, but that's only like 5 days, and then he has time off. So I don't know if it's swole up on him throughout the week or anything like that. Could be.
Yeah, and that's like I said, that's part of it. But the fact that he was even out there is a good sign, I think. You know, the fact that he was out there and it sounds like from what you're saying, it wasn't even noticeable was coming back from an injury. Would you say that is the case, or?
I didn't notice, no.
Yeah, that's pretty good to hear then, because like I said, I think he's a guy who's not necessarily high up on the board as he should be because of that injury. Because people are going, okay, he missed the whole second half. Where is he at? How healthy is he? You know, I think as they see more medical files, because they'll see that obviously as it gets closer to the draft, you'll probably see him move up a little in the draft rankings because of that.
Yeah, probably. But on draft day, if he starts falling, I'll just say, like, I'm not a doctor, so when people say it's like, oh, he's got this thing, I'll just believe you. You know,
is there a doctor in the house? Yeah. Does someone need a doctor? Any Doctor Who fans? One last guy we got, ranked 141, Owen Papo out of Auburn. Athletic guy, good range, good in coverage, leader, known for his work ethic. Another guy that's undersized, though. It seems like a theme of undersized linebackers in this draft. They're either undersized or they're slow, which obviously makes sense. They're bigger, they can't run as fast. But I mean, it seems to be a theme like you're slow or you're undersized. Like we haven't seen one guy come up, at least in the list that I've been watching, as far as a guy who's either got good size and good speed.
I think you're talking yourself into it right there. It's a shift in the NFL, man.
Yeah,
I think start getting used to forgetting what you know about positional size, especially when it comes to things like coverage and wide receivers. I think that stuff is all starting to change a little bit.
Yeah. So, like I said, we got some interesting names here to look at for the draft. That's for sure. I mean, personally, I want to hear from each of you guys, see what you guys all think here. But personally, I think that we'll probably go end up, signing, like I said, in free agency, a starting linebacker, a true number one at that position. And I think we'll probably go ahead, and from there we'll go ahead and, get a backup in the draft in one of the mid to late rounds at that point. So obviously we got some positions to fill there. Ken Cristiano filling in here on Facebook with the Let's Go Bears. Ken, we talked about this. If you put any other team but the Giants, it's not going up on the screen, man. I don't hate the Bears. But I also kind of feel bad. We talked about the running back episode where I thought you guys might get Saquon, and that's not happening apparently, guys. Sorry. Good luck with David Montgomery again.
You can have him for 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, you can have him for 2 first-round picks. That's a good point, Marshall. Listen, I think you guys have 2 first-round picks in this draft as well. We'll take them both, especially the number 1 overall.
God, to turn 2 first. Would you imagine if we turned Saquon Barkley into like 3 first-round picks? You just keep trading back.
Listen, I would take just that one, and I've been saying forever, this is what the Bears should do. Take that first-round pick, that first overall pick, trade back with the Texans to number 2, then trade back with the Colts to number 4. You still get whatever player you actually wanted, and you have like 4 or 5 extra first-round picks now because of that.
They need it.
They do.
So here's my here's my big off-season plan here with linebacker. You keep this TJ Edwards talk up, and you just drive up his price, and then you let Philly re-sign him for way more than they were planning to. Then you take your off-season money, you buy Cam Sutton, and then go ahead. You can use your second-round pick. Get the guy that I think Marshall might be smarter than me on the subject of linebackers here. So I that's my plan. I'm doing that.
I'd love Drew Sanders. I would.
Yeah. I'd be a very happy guy with him, but I'm not sure if I want him as my number 1 linebacker. That's the only concern I have.
Well, you never know. These guys are prospects. They're 20-year-old kids. 5 years from now, they're 25. They're going to be a completely different person.
And a rebuild lasts more than just 1 year. So it's not like this is going to be my linebacker. He's my number 1 guy. What do we do next year and the year after? I mean, this is going to take a couple of years to get to where we want to be. So.
Well, you pay a linebacker in free agency $8-7 million, draft Sanders,
Here we go.
5 or in the 3rd round, and look, now we actually got good players at that position.
Oh, we have something very special that just happened apparently. John Anderson. Just realized it's my birthday today. I missed it. 54 years old. Well, at least I was hanging with New York Giants.
Well,
how do you miss your birthday?
My God. He's older than me.
Happy birthday, John, though. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, John. I was honored to be there.
Yes. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
You may want to start taking those ginkgo biloba pills, though, John. I'm just saying, like, that's something's got to help with the memory here, because if you forgot your own birthday.
John, if it makes you feel better, I forgot your birthday.
It was 54 years.
Yes, we didn't know it was your birthday either. That's true. That's a good point. It's a good point.
Yeah.
John and I are like, we're old. We're both Ray Perkins era Giant fans. We're old, so we actually remember when we had good linebackers.
Yes, I remember. Listen, I remember I was rocking, the preschool years in the '86 Super Bowl in the Rose Bowl there. I do remember the '90s Super Bowl a little bit. I was 8 years old then, so I remember a little bit then. But yeah,
just
not
don't
much.
do the LeVar Arrington thing again. Let's not do that.
Oh my God. Yeah, let's not do that. Here's John again. Thanks, guys. Can't mix pills with it. Would interfere with my Viagra. Oh my God.
Baseball after dark has begun.
You gotta stay strong, man. Gotta stay strong.
Oh, he's making the decision. He's staying with it. Damn it. He's chose his priorities. But
just don't forget why you got an erection.
Oh my God. But yeah, so yeah, I like that plan, Marshall. I do. I think if we get a guy, like Drew Sanders in the draft, and get a guy who's, like I said, one of the mid-tier free agent linebackers like that, not the big top guys there, but like we talked about earlier, getting a guy who's kind of that second-tier linebacker they have, because there's plenty of those guys out there this time, whether it is a Tranquil like I talked about, or a Pratt, or even if you go with maybe a Singleton, who might be cheaper because of the fact that he's been on 2 1-year deals, I think, the last couple of years now at that point. So maybe that's a guy we can look at. But yeah, it's an interesting position for us overall, though. Who else has got a plan for us here? How you want to fix the whole position as a whole?
I mean, I have a similar thought.
I like
to
the Marshall plan.
But
the Marshall plan.
I have similar. I like the
Marshall doctrine.
TJ Edwards. Yeah, there we go.
Oh no, I'm sticking with the Monroe doctrine. Latin America's ours, damn it. We're protecting it at all costs.
Like we said in free agents, I still say get TJ Edwards, right? Make sure you take him away from Philly, bring him on here, pay him some money, and then go later in the draft. And then go for someone, like Cam Jones. Take a gamble, see how he is. Maybe go up to, I don't know, like Pierce Jr. See what, who you can get for your money.
Yeah.
Then later in the draft. But get the guy that has talent and give him to coach.
Listen, if we get Edmonds as a free agent, then I don't want us looking till very late for a linebacker, because he better be the guy.
That's what I'm saying.
The all-around encompassing,
at least a little bit.
What was that? Sorry.
But I mean, you're gonna want to
play Davis a little bit. Like, they didn't bring him back before free agency started for him to wave a towel and get MetLife hype.
Well, apparently that's what we're getting Collins for, is to wave the towel. He's just happy to be there. So who knows? Maybe that's the same thing. Maybe he was also just happy to be there.
He's not like pick six.
Yay!
Yes. You have to do one pick six.
He's not like Marshawn Lynch. He's not just there so he doesn't get fined. Okay, like he's happy to be there. Okay.
He'll take all the skills you give him.
Alrighty there. So, anybody got any final thoughts here on the linebackers before we head on out for the evening here? I think we've covered it all.
I don't know if we can get worse. So hopefully, we take a step forward.
Listen, we can't take a step back. Okay.
Backs are against
very hard.
Yeah. Our backs. The only way we can do it is if we take 2 steps forwards and take 2 steps back. We do a little Paula Abdul there.
So
okay.
Opposites attract. Okay.
Yes. Oh yes. There we go.
Well
oh yeah. Who didn't have a crush on Paul Abdul back then?
What do you mean back then?
I know. he's like He's like, I'm on the list. I can't even email her. The cops come in my house.
The list.
Ever since that incident in 1995 at the LA Coliseum.
What was the name? Who did she? Opposites Attracts. Who was the cat's name that she did the duet with?
Oh, I don't know this one. Who is it?
Okay.
Sylvester Stallone.
MC Scat Cat.
MC Scat Cat. Oh my.
Oh, a Scat Cat.
I'm a scat man.
Sylvester Stallone.
That's what the name your.
No, it was not Sylvester Stallone. Sly was not the cat.
That was a perfect opportunity.
I think when you're thinking of Sylvester Stallone as
just one strong bicep.
I think what you're thinking of is you're thinking of Sylvester Stallone's time as a lion in the Zookeeper movie with Kevin James. Like spectacular. Like who would have thought? Like the most unrealistic part of that movie is the fact that Kevin James had to pick between those two girls. It's not even the animals talking. It's the fact that a guy like Kevin James had those two girls interested in him. I'm just saying, like that's preposterous.
You remember the show Growing Pains?
What was that? Sorry.
Remember the show Growing Pains with Cameron?
Yes.
So his best friend's name was Boner, and his dad's name was Sylvester Stallone.
No, he was not.
Yes, it was.
Boner Stallone.
It's Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, he didn't get picked in school at all.
Oh, of course not.
Yeah. So, on that note,
that might be this time to sign off.
Yeah. We're getting into the crow. I never thought we'd get a Growing Pains reference. We've had all kinds of weird references here.
That's our third one this week, right, Grump?
Is it?
Oh my God.
We had that Leonardo DiCaprio reference last week.
Oh, we've done that. Yeah. I actually thought about saying Devontae David was too old for Leonardo DiCaprio, but you know. But
it's all fun and games till I show up with the Deshaun Watson joke. So.
Oh. Deshaun Watson. So listen, we were making plenty during the season. Don't get me wrong. We're definitely not that show. Not afraid to make the jokes like that. I just don't bring it up too much with guest songs. I don't want to be the guy that all of a sudden get you guys in trouble. Like you get a random email from a sponsor like, "Did we hear you talking about massages and Deshaun Watson? If you can cut that out, that'd be great." Also, if you can remember your TPS reports cover sheets, that'd be great.
My stapler.
I have not received my piece of cake. All right, guys. So first up here, Grump and Cranky fan, whoever wants to be your spokesperson here, do me a favor and let everybody know where they can get all access to all your guys' work there, whether it be social media, the podcast itself, all that good stuff.
I'll hand it. Yeah. The show itself has a Twitter account, which pretty much just pumps out episodes, little clips, things like that. That's at Just Giants Pod. The show is on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play, wherever audio podcasts are. That's where they are. We made our move into YouTube this year. Was the first year? This season, right? Or was it last year?
This year.
I think it was last year.
I don't know.
Either. We've been on YouTube.
This is the first year I started wearing clothes.
Cranky Grumps.
But yeah, and our Twitter handles are right there on the screen there at football_Grump and at the Cranky Fan.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, guys.
I appreciate you having us, man. Yeah, really.
Oh, dude, this was a pleasure. I love having other content creators on because, first off, I gotta say, there's only been a very small handful, and I won't name any names, of people that I've seen what they do on social media and on their shows. That I'm just like, nope, I would never work with these people. There's a couple with them, don't get me wrong. And I'm not going to name any specific names because I don't want to be that guy because I don't know them personally. But for the most part, we've had a lot of great guests on because we like to invite people on to talk. Because you know, if you just have me and Rob talking and just our opinions overall, it gets boring. Let's be honest. People want to hear new thoughts. People want to hear new ideas. So, you know, but everybody we've had on has been absolutely amazing. And definitely you guys are definitely in that bunch there. It's great to meet the people that we converse with on Twitter, you know, that we get to kind of see you guys' faces here too as well. Because usually when I listen to you guys, I'm listening on the audio version.
Do you guys actually go to games? Do you live in the New York area?
Or? So being that I live here in Tampa, I go in Clearwater. I go whenever there's a local game here. Except the last couple Bucks games I did not go to because I'm just not a glutton for punishment. But let's be honest.
Daniel
The
Jones
last couple
game.
Bucks games, we listen. Yeah. I kick myself still for not going to the original Danny Dimes game himself. Like I really do.
That would have been electric.
That would have been awesome to go say I was there for the first one.
We pulled a Gator Giant doubleheader that weekend, and we went.
There we go.
So that was great.
Oh, that's awesome.
I did go to Jacksonville this year. I did go to that. That was awesome. Got to meet Carl Banks outside afterwards. Great.
That how awesome was that?
Taking someone's not a Carl fan.
Not the biggest.
No, he was nice. But yeah, we had, it was basically a Giants takeover of that stadium too. There was more Giant fans than Jags fans. That was just awesome as a whole. It's like, I feel like we're at a home game at a different stadium. It's almost like they were like renovating ours. And we're just staying at this one for the one game here, basically. It was kind of like really that. It was kind of cool.
What really annoys me as a Rays fan when, there's 20,000 Yankee fans at the Trop, and it really annoys me. But when there's 50,000 Giant fans at a Buck game, I think that's pretty cool. So
yeah, what just annoys me is Trop as a whole. Trop as a whole just annoys me because it's just a hideous field.
Well, we're working on that. So
I was just by there actually on Sunday because I went to the Grand Prix down in St. Pete this weekend. Yeah, so
nice.
through my job, because my job as a sponsor, I literally had start finish line seats right there to see the end.
Wow, nice.
So, I'm right there by the pits. I'm like 2 rows up. It's awesome experience. I get to do that every year. So, it's one of the perks of the job. One of the perks. But yeah, I do plan on going also this year to the Miami game.
Yep,
I will definitely be driving down for that one because even though it's still a 5-hour drive, it's not often the Giants are 5 hours away from me. So I'll go to that, and I also do plan hoping to drive up for FanFest this year too as well because I haven't got a chance to do that one yet. So I'm definitely hoping to do that. But yeah, no, I go to games whenever I can.
Let us know if you're at a FanFest. We'll try to meet up. So
definitely. I was actually thinking it'd be kind of cool to be able to content creators out there in general and have like a cool spot for everybody to meet us all too. Like that'd be awesome. So
let us know. Absolutely,
make it happen.
Yeah, let's do it. Marshall, do me a favor also and let everybody know where to find all your content there. Though, if they're like me, it's popping up on YouTube every 2 seconds because, dude, you are like nonstop. This man, I don't know if you guys realize, yesterday he did a 4-hour show on Daniel Jones signing. 4 hours.
It was long.
Commitment.
It was long.
Like I'd be dropping I'd be dropping lozenges like crazy just so I can speak the next day, and here he is with us. So
It was long. It was fun. I work for a company called Chat Sports. I do our Giants and Knicks coverage. It's Giants Now by Chat Sports and Knicks Now by Chat Sports. We're on YouTube. Put out videos pretty much every day. You can find some cool content over there.
Hey, whenever you want to talk Knicks, let me know.
Yeah, I'm with it.
There we
not
go.
After last night. Not after last.
He's also calling in the Chat Sports. Like every day, there's like a 10 to 15 minute video that he breaks down rumors and whatever's going on with the Giants. It's pretty cool content. So if you guys haven't followed it, check it out.
Yeah, like I said, I only invite people on that actually like the content of. So, definitely you three are definitely guys that I get some of my news and info from as well and kind of listen to your ideas to kind of bounce off what I'm kind of thinking to go, am I crazy for thinking of this? No, the Grump said this as well. I'm not so crazy after all.
That's kind of what I do too.
Either that or I'm
officially crazy.
Yeah.
When you talk all day, every day, you're going to say some crazy stuff.
Yeah, listen, I do that on the regular. Hell, we opened the show telling people that we have the cast of Rocky the Musical on. I mean, hey, what the hell? I say crazy stuff all the time. It is what it is.
You can't win, Rock. You can't
win. Yes, I can.
Oh my God! Could you imagine Dolph Lundgren singing in a Russian accent? I'm just saying, like it'd be spectacular. Like we can
do come true.
Yeah, we can de-age him like the Old Spice commercial did, and just go for it. Like it'd be spectacular. And also, of course, guys, thank you very much for listening in. Those of you watching live on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Twitch, on LinkedIn, we are pretty much everywhere. It's insanity. We are taking. You say LinkedIn? Wow, yes. My LinkedIn page has like 10. So I have. I have over 10,000 people on my LinkedIn profile. So therefore, I just pop it up there. Let's go for it. What the hell?
That's awesome.
Nice.
So if you guys are not watching live and you're watching replay, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that like, hit that bell if you're on YouTube, because that's how you find out we go live. We also, of course, put all the events up when we plan to go live on YouTube and Facebook, and they let us do that. Sometimes we even go weeks in advance. We were talking about that before the show. I think we got like 2 or 3 weeks of shows already up there at that point to go. So, guys, hit the interested, hit the bell on those things, because then that's when you find out we're going live. If you're listening on podcasts, also, we're not going to exclude you guys. Thank you very much for listening in. We are on pretty much every single podcast platform that matters. If we are not on your podcast platform, don't even email me. Just switch to a different platform. That's not a good platform. That's not the one you want to be on. Because if the goofball's not on there, it's not the one for you. John asks, where do I unsubscribe? You don't, John. You keep on subscribing, buddy. Keep on going. More and more platforms, hit that subscribe button. Hit them all. You get extra points for subscribing on all of them there. And again, thank you very much for listening in, though. Seriously, guys, we know there's a lot of options where you can guys get your news from. The fact that you picked these goofballs to be the ones you're going to get it from is very appreciated. Thank you very much, as always, for listening. And before we get going, guys, for those of you who may not be aware, what we do at the very end is we like to go ahead and end this with Go G-Men. That's how we like to end it every single episode here. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Go G-Men! Go G-Men!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support. If you made it this long, you must have enjoyed it. So I am sure you have followed us on all the social media platforms. Of course, you have subscribed to the show on your favorite app as well and given us a top rating. Right? Right? Right?